Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Tonight, my guest is Gloria Canning. Before I bring her on, I want to remind you can always get new regular episodes free on Rokfin, Odysee, and all podcast platforms. Go check us out on Rokfin. This is where you get all of our juicy premium stuff that you can't get anywhere else. You can also get our regular shows and all the premium content from every creator there on Rokfin. You can go get a free account, check out who's there. It's amazing stuff. We also have our merch store up. You can get t-shirts, stickers, bags, and all kinds of amazing stuff there. And guys, if you're in that stage of life where you're starting to get a few gray hairs like me, check out C60 Purple Power. It may be the most powerful antioxidant known to man. It's helped me with inflammation, energy, well-being, sleep, so much more. You can even get C60 for your pets so your pets can feel great too. Just click that link in the description. You get 10% off your order plus free shipping. Tonight, I want to welcome to the show Gloria Canning. She is a lifelong experiencer, contactee, artist, and co-host of the new live talk show Open Minds. Gloria, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thank you very much. It's nearly 10 o'clock UK time. How's you?
I'm great. It's about almost 3 p.m. in the afternoon here. Thank you for staying up late and chatting with us tonight. I really appreciate you coming on.
That's okay. Okay.
Yes, it's great to have you on the show. You actually reached out to me not too long about co-hosting your new upcoming show, which is going to be very fun. But we won't give anything away about it. That's going to be a nice big secret for us.
That's a big secret.
Yes,
the podcast is a big secret, and the panel is a big secret.
It's a huge secret. We're not going to give anything away about that tonight. But we did have a great meeting with one of the other hosts we'll be meeting with again. And it was in that meeting you really put forth an extremely thought-provoking theory about ET contact, the UFO phenomenon, and all of this kind of bundled together. And I want to get into that a little bit tonight, kind of plant that seed in the audience's mind. I think it's very thought-provoking, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And this is your first time on, Gloria, so let's talk about how it all started for you. When and how did your experiences start?
Oh, gosh. Wow. They started, obviously, since childhood, birth. However, I wasn't aware to later on in life. Let's do a brief one. Oh, gosh. When I was born exceptionally psychic. I had to be, because I was born into an extremely troubled family, the normal abuse, torture, blah, blah, blah. So I lived on my sixth sense. So I was extremely psychic. At a very young age, I would see dead people. That was the first. Communicate. I do psychometry, telekinesis with the older sister, blah, 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 blah. It was normal. However, I put all of the paranormal experiences into one box. What I knew, I was a child, so there was no such thing as ET or UFOs. I never heard of it. It was not in my reality, and I was basically locked up for around about 16 years. So I had no outside avenues to, to reference to. So I believed that everything I experienced was spirit, dead people. So that's where it started. Teenagerhood, 16, 17, I started to break free after being diagnosed with schizophrenia, because I thought it was normal to tell everyone I see dead people.
Well, Gloria, before you move on from the childhood, were these experiences all positive experiences, or were they kind of scary for you?
Well, must have been scary at some point. It's been all my life. However, I remember hiding under the cupboards so they wouldn't get me, which I thought were ghosts. I remember them coming to the side of my bed, at the bottom of my bed. I remember hiding in the hallway cupboard, thinking they can't get in. And I would never, ever go to the bathroom at night. So I wasn't scared because I believed they were just spirits playing games.
And were they like communicating or telling you anything?
Sorry?
Were they communicating with you or telling you anything?
I seemed, what would happen at first is I would hear my name. Well, I actually thought they were dead dwarfs. I was a child. They were little people and I didn't know. And they would call me and I would say, no, I'm not coming again. So I was familiar with them. I was very familiar. And I'd go under the blankets and then remember no more. That's then. When I got to the teenager years, then what I would call spooky stuff started to occur. I still didn't realize, even though I saw the black eyes coming out of the wall, coming through, that they were nothing but ghosts in a different, it was blackout and don't remember no more. So it's the teenage years, the paranormal and the psychic gift really intensified. And it was at the same time I was getting precognition, real family members, murders that were. I was just a wild teenager, and I couldn't cope, and I kept trying to block it down. I got to around about 16, I think, and then with obviously the torture and abuse at home, and what was going on psychically, I attempted suicide because I didn't understand my reality. I didn't understand it. Survived that, thank God. As life went on, the experiences were normal. So I would remember the first part, but nothing after. But I was always familiar. Okay, it's them again. That's how it was. It was so normal by then. It wasn't until later on in life I started to look back and think, something wasn't, as I was becoming more aware of other things. Left home at 17 and a half, went and got married into domestic violence, as you do. And then the experiences changed. Then it was more in like a dreamlike state, and it would be everything science, the science. I would be in the planets, I'd be getting mathematical equations. I started to etchings, we call them now, isn't it, Robert? Etchings,
That's
downloads,
right.
etchings.
Yeah.
I would just know, and just a knowing, and the more and more. So then in around about 1987, later maybe, end of the 80s, I coincidentally, should I say, come across a book that everyone was talking about. And I have to say, my heart still goes now, and it's going now. It was the Whitley Strieber book.
Yes.
Communion.
Yes.
And my heart's going now. I can't forget that. When I saw the cover, I literally died. I'm going to say I died. I just crashed internally because I recognized it was the eyes. I'd always remembered the eyes. So I was like in a paradoxical reality, because to me it was dead people. It was just dead people. And so that threw me. I rebelled and rebelled and rebelled. Didn't want to know nothing about it. Literally, I couldn't. And I was in a dreadful emotional, psychological state for some time.
And I find it interesting that you said you were diagnosed schizophrenic, basically,
Yeah.
because the doctors didn't understand what was going on with you, right?
No. They also said I was absent-minded. I went off. There was also a lot of missing time all through the childhood, where I would be accused of going off somewhere and I never did. So it really was, the experience was very hellish from the humans, let's say,
right,
from the physical world. Nothing from what I now know to be extraterrestrials or extra dimensionals, whatever label you wish to give them. The experiences of them was never ever negative, ever negative. I've always been an artist, as you know. It was around about, I'm going to jump now because it's just too much, about 2012, I started to have these visions. And the visions were possible world endings, visions of more science, but the major one that came in and changed my art, I was dreaming of these shapes, and I'd never seen these shapes before. But it was like the etchings coming in. It was telling me. And I remember getting up and like frantic and started drawing, and I was doing these designs, which was sacred geometry. And I painted the platonic solids. I was just going wild, and I never understood what I was doing. So the art started to change then, and then the information started to change. And I felt like I was on a journey, going from this religion, that religion, philosophy, the arts, everything, ancient civilization. Oh, God, I went round and round the houses all the way, and eventually found out the one I was looking for, the truth, was the one that was looking. It was me. I full circle all the way back, so to speak, but just a glimpse of that. So I've cut that really short.
Yes.
Ask away, Chris.
Well,
Ask
no,
away.
those are really fascinating experiences. Now, at some point between, teenage years and
Mm.
adulthood, when did you come to a little bit more of an understanding of what was happening with you?
It would have been, I think, really truthfully, even though I was sort of thinking, it was a bit of a paradox. I started to think, have I been experiencing these grey beings or not? I still could not. Then I hit, 2012 was a massive change. And from 2012 to 2016, it was like I was on research for every single thing in the cosmos, everything. Then I had an experience. I was in my bedroom. This was like the first really conscious, awake experience, because all the others I never remembered. I remembered seeing them and no more. And I was sitting in my bedroom and just sitting there. And what I've come to feel comfortable with, it's like you just feel a shift. I don't know what it is. I can't find words. And then at the bottom of the bed, I was shown a male figure. It looked like a man, but it wasn't quite human, but it was human. And I remember just staring, and there was no fear, because it's like being in a state, I don't know what it is. There's no human flight or fright. It's calm and it's peaceful. And I became aware that I always go into this state when I'm going to be shown something. Never know the reason why. Later on, you always do. And then I saw this male image start to spin, 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 spin. A bit like in The Exorcist, that head goes round, that horror. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the advert. Wouldn't watch that. But the body, it was spinning faster, faster, faster. And it went into like so fast, like light, and then slowed down. And there at the bottom of the bed was this grey, just tilting the head and looking. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, in awe. Sorry, I swore. Sorry.
You can
sorry.
swear as much as you want. You're fine.
And I was in awe, like, wow. I was like, and then the next thing I recall, this is going to sound fucking crazy. I was lifted up. I had 2 windows in the bedroom. I was lifted up, and I remember floating and going through the windows. And I was like, still in this, ooh. But even as I was going, I was observing at the same time, which I can never explain. So I'm in the body, I'm out of the body. It's the weirdest thing, I don't know. And I could see the trees, and then behind me was a field and trees in the country. And the last thing I remember is floating round, and there was like a craft. I can't give you detail. Boom, I remember no more until I wake up. That shifted me. Then I knew. And whatever happened that night, I started to recall all experiences. And ones, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I saw them from a different perspective. And then it was more, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. What does this mean? What does this mean? And it wasn't long after that one, in another one, I was taken and I was walking, and it was so quiet, I can't tell you, but I knew something was above me. And I looked up, and UFO, it was black. It was like as high as a house, a UK house, that's 2-story. And it was so big, you couldn't see the ends, but it was that close. And I remember noticing it was so silent. That was the sound. I can't explain that. I can't. And I went, oh my God, oh my God. And I turned and I went to use the phone. And this is, how do I say this? And I saw the phone. I said, I must let someone know. My whole mind was wiped. I can't tell you how. I didn't know what a phone was. I lost my speech, and I couldn't communicate. It was at that point another being come and warned me, not me, but was saying, it's too late. There's nothing you can do. And it was telepathy. And then boom, I was back again. So then ones were the two that really brought me into what we call, in brackets, ufology. I realized, yes, something's happened, but still had no fear. No, there was no, I was then very, very curious, and I went and researched UFOs and greys and, and all that. So,
yeah, definitely. And you mentioned a couple of different types of beings that you encountered, the little grays.
yeah.
What are some of the other types of beings that encountered through the years?
There's the first ones were like midget with big heads. I mean, I see the outline, and sometimes hoods, believe it or not. I remember that. Then later on, they were like short beings. I'm not very good with size, but I'm 5'3", so they were a bit shorter than me, or the same. Looking at the bed, if I'm looking. The other being, now people give them labels. I don't know. They're human, but this guy who spoke to me in telepathy, who said for the future, there's nothing you can do to stop this, had crystal blue eyes, blondish, long curly hair, love, I can't tell you. I don't know who, what, when, or where. Other people label them, but I don't have a label. I knew it wasn't human. Then recently, in the last couple of years, I've had tall blue greys. I mean, tall, with the biggest eyes I'd ever seen, mesmerizing eyes, and 3, I don't know what they are, light beings or beings on another experience when they come in with the tones. So that's the variety. I've seen mantis, because I'm a medium, psychic, and they do come in. I've seen them, and I've seen them. I have seen the mantis being as well. Very tall, very
Now,
revered.
since you mentioned the mantis being, I had an interesting guest on last night, Mr. Rob Potter, who says that he's heard that these mantis beings are some kind of gatekeepers and they're able to open portals and close portals and keep more negative ETs out. Have you experienced anything like this with the mantis beings?
No, the mantis beings that I've experienced, they bring in the etchings, or to those that don't know, me, Chris, and Robert say etchings and the
Yes.
downloads.
Download, yes.
It's knowledge. It's these conscious beings just bring knowledge. I find when they were about, I had an absolute download etching of stuff that was, and I was started to do things that I wouldn't have been in my reality to do or believed I could do, so to speak. So I have never had a negative experience, even when the tall blues were here. And these are more, they've become, they were, it's changing again, more, I was consciously aware. I would feel nothing. So people say paralyzed. I don't call it paralyzed. I was in a state of immobility. So I would feel no pain, no fear. It was just serene and calm peace. I could move my eyes, and last time I saw the two, and the head turn and the eyes, and there's a communication like, how are you? What's going on? Checking up or something. Then I remember seeing the hand and no more. Never ever. So I can't relate to, that's another person's experience. They've chosen to experience. I, as yet, and I hope I never do, had enough with the humans.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Now your experiences, you said they've all been positive, and so have, I'd say, a good maybe 70% of the contactees, maybe more, that I've talked to have had positive experiences. And even if they started out as negative, the more they understood and the more it occurred, the more positive they became, and the more of an understanding they had. But also, it seems that a lot of people who have these experiences come out on the other side of them a better person. They become more spiritual. They want to seek out more about themselves, more about the nature of reality, and they just treat people better in general. And that's what I found with a majority of contactees. So the negative aspects, I'm not sure where it's coming from, and it makes me wonder, is this us doing the negative aspect? Is this some kind of military abductions to where we're, taking people and experimenting with them and dressing up like ETs or something, you know?
I mean, I think this is where you're going to come to what we spoke about before. It's really hard to communicate this because the mind has trouble processing. It's like a juxtaposition. So you have to talk in two states. So if we're talking from the human identity, if you believe you are a human being and that's all you are, how you perceive and put out is the reflection that comes back. I know that sounds very like, oh, well, that's not much, but maybe we will get a bit deeper into that. If you take it from, I am a spiritual being, consciousness, having a human experience, and you have an awareness of I am, your perception shifted. You're aware of the human experience. And you may find that many experiences, what I found, that have started off in the fear-based trauma is because it was the beliefs, the conditionings, and the natural human experience of the unknown that they responded that way. Later on, due to that, as they become more spiritually aware of who they truly are, they say, oh, it wasn't that, it was this. And it's the only way I can explain that. I went through that process for many, many years, so I'm aware of it. Basically, if I get to, the crunch of it all, I consciousness chose to have this human experience. And another consciousness chose to have a similar experience and experience it differently. And the analogies I always give, repetitive in my groups, is let's have an orange, Chris. Yeah, we have an orange, cut it in half. You have a half, I have a half. We have both experienced eating an orange. However, the experience is totally different.
Yes.
By our beliefs, conditionings, culture, every single thing, taste buds. And it's a good job it is, otherwise it'd be really, really boring. Really, really boring. So,
exactly.
And it's just that. It's as simple as that. Consciousness experiencing all things at all times, in all places, in the now.
Yes, it's a completely personal and unique experience for everyone. When somebody even asked me earlier, said something earlier like, yeah, I'll believe in aliens, but you have to prove it to me. Well, that's never going to happen because I can't prove anything to you. This is an experience for you to seek out for yourself. There, you're not going to find out any answers unless you really want to find them for yourself, and it's a personal thing. I think that, especially for me, that's the way it happened. I was seeking it for myself. I went after it, and it was my own experience. No one was there with me. No one else saw it. I couldn't prove a thing, but it's my experience, and I think that's how it is for every single person on this planet.
Absolutely.
We all have our experiences, and if you want to deny those experiences or not see them, but I think everybody has them,
I think that we're obviously, if you come from where I come from, which is non-duality, consciousness is one, all things at all times in all places, experiencing multiple experiences one time. That's the simple way of putting it. It's a choice. It's a personal, individual conscious choice what you choose to experience. However, it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, there is a terminology that people use, the dark night of the soul. Well, fuck that. I've had a lifetime of the dark night of the fucking soul, working on myself, eating humble pie and going, shit, I got that wrong, shit. Round the houses, searching, and then finally coming back to me and then going in. And when you go in, then it really gets hard. It's not easy. You really have to go in and work on you are. And how, when I talk to people, I say, most spiritual people that will say to you, I am a spiritual being and I'm having a human experience. I'm not human, I'm spiritual. What I do in my groups, I say, right, let's deconstruct that. What actually does that mean? I'm a spiritual being or consciousness or Christ consciousness or divine or God having a human experience. Deconstruct it, use some discernment. What you're basically saying is you're not human. One. Secondly, if you are this divine spiritual being, you won't lie, you won't judge, you won't condemn. And more importantly, if you're the divine conscious being experiencing all things at all time, so is everybody else. And normally the conversation stops there.
No, that's where the conversation should begin, really. Because
yes, I know, but for many, what the fuck?
Yes.
You mean I'm not this limited, boring, bigoted, sexist, but so it's where you do the work on what we call the ego, but the ego is just the mask of consciousness going boo and coming back, and that's the work you have to do to get to the
and I saw since you said that, it reminded me of a great cartoon. I was kind of looking through Facebook earlier. It came up, and it's this big giant underground, and he had a little name tag that said the universe, and he's sticking his fingers out, and the fingers had a little name tag that said each one of us experiencing the universe. So I was like, oh yes, that's perfect. Perfect example.
Perfect. I mean, for me, I remember when I studied the philosophers way back, because I studied everything, quantum physics, astrophysics, neuroscience. I went looking for me. I studied everything. And I recalled something that always stuck with me and I couldn't understand why. And it was Plato's Cave. If you haven't seen the animation of it, you should. Plato knew this. He knew And it's about these people that were chained up in a cave with a light behind them, and there was a door where the people were outside, but all the ones inside could see was the shadows. I'm not going to go into it. I would recommend just go back old school. Plato's Cave. It showed me what reality really was. Now we're going into I know what reality is. I don't know what reality is. At the moment, my truth is what I will speak tonight. It could change tomorrow, whatever happens. But that was another one that really hit home. Plato's Cave, the analogy of the cave.
Yes,
So,
that is a great one, and I definitely highly encourage everyone to go take a look at that as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so let's go even deeper here. So if we are consciousness, if we're the universe, if we're all connected, if we're all one, what is ET to that paradigm? And who created ET? So, if this is all a connection, and E.T.'s always trying to better us, he's always seemingly trying to push in a direction to, have our planet do better, not pollute, not destroy ourselves. At least these are the common messages that we're getting. Well, doesn't it seem like these messages that we should tell ourselves as well, or that we sometimes do tell ourselves all the time if we're, not doing the right thing? We give ourselves these messages. So, could ET?
Let me press that with from the perception and my truth. This is just my truth. Don't have to believe a word I'm saying. It's my truth at the moment. I, consciousness, experience all things at all times. Consciousness in the role of play. Even Shakespeare said it. The world is the theatre, and the humans are the actors. We're playing a role, but one consciousness playing the role of many. So if you're coming from, I'm trying to explain this in the most layman terms I possibly can, because sometimes it just comes out too complex. I am consciousness experiencing the human experience. Now, to experience the 3D human experience, I need polarities. I need up, down, right, left, black, white, dark and light, all of these illusional labels, so I can experience something.
Right.
Same as experiencing the orange. I need taste bud. I need to experience. To have the human experience, consciousness, it has to have the polarities. It has to have what people call the darker side, to reflect back to it. Okay, to reflect back. It's a polarity game in 3D Earth. That's all it is. People call it the holographic universe, quantum scientists, or they can call it a simulation. You can label it anything you want, but we're all experiencing it. I personally like to use an analogy of either the dream. I'm still in the dream. And I always say to people when they wake up in the morning, how do you know you're not still dreaming? Just to make a gap in the consciousness, to question reality. You've got to question reality, especially if you're an experiencer and you have beings coming through a solid wall or you're going through them. The normal reality doesn't exist anymore. So you have to start questioning. For my truth, these beings are just consciousness. They don't need form. They come into a density form when they come into the 3D polarity experience, a human experience, so we can interact and have a polarity with them. I don't want to go to the end at the moment yet. So I'm saying, if you've taken it from the consciousness aspect, that's us. There's only one. If we come back to playing the role, the divine role, peekaboo, I'm here, I'm not. From the human perspective, Homo sapiens sapien perspective, I should say. If you take it from a Homo sapiens sapien perspective, consciousness, it's got an agreement. Let's play this game, and you come in and you're the grey. when you're aware, that's just consciousness playing the role of a grey or a mantis or an evil bastard, even a human. It doesn't matter. You're aware of who they truly are. You take precautions because you're still in the human experience. You don't go, hi, kill me, torture me. No, you don't. It's a juxtaposition. That's the only way. From one comes the opposites. I hope that answered. If not, I can
and I think the audience's brains just exploded a little bit, but that's what they needed. It's great stuff. Now it takes us even further than how malleable is reality. How much can we manipulate our own reality just with the powers of our own thinking, positivity, energy? Because I know that I have seen with my own eyes the powers of positivity and manifestation in my own life,
Chris, if in the singularity consciousness, Homo sapiens sapien, knew not just academically, but experientially who they are, you can do anything you fucking want.
Right.
You can float through them walls. You can do anything you want. The other conscious beings that are playing the role, this is the evolution of consciousness. Yeah. If we go back to Homo sapien perception, hello, what's going on? The ascension. Yes, it is. It's a juxtaposition. But the difference is now I consciousness is aware I'm having the human experience. That's all it is. You can play the role. Now, that leads to the part of like, oh my God, fascism in the world today. Yes, I'm not ridiculing it. It's real. It's real. If you are viewing this, I may piss some people off here. I do apologize. It's not intentional. Never. If you view what's going on in our reality from Homo sapiens sapien perception, a limited being, you will experience exactly that. My truth is, I'm aware of what's going on. Yes, I'm still in my human suit, so I have feeling. Yeah, I do get pissed off. I'm very empathic, so I feel for another conscious being. However, I am aware as the evolution of consciousness rises to its true self, to know thyself. What we perceive in this reality is not what we think it is. It is actually consciousness reflecting and pushing us in to awaken to our true self. There is nothing to fear. If you're a spiritual being and you really use discernment, introspection, and you break it down and do the work, you are aware that it's like looking in a mirror. It's like, I'll give you another example. Well, no, let me go back. And what this has done since the beginning of lockdown, the whole of humanity has had to stop looking externally for entertainment, validation, to fill the lack of, because of their internal conditioning, belief systems, culture, whatever, wherever they lived in the world. They had to go in. Many conscious beings have awoken through the lockdown. What's happening now, I'm cutting this really short because it can go on forever. What's happening now? The time is now. Enough. There is enough now awakening for a shift to go wherever. I'm not predicting. I'm not using words like people say, I know nothing, but I'm aware consciously of the shift. This is why you're seeing the other polarity of consciousness getting harder and pushing. Now, we have a choice, as Homo sapiens sapien, if you can be aware of who you are, do we go fear or do we just keep going? I choose not to have that reality. That's not in my reality.
Well, in my own experience, my level of awareness and enlightenment as that kind of builds up and grows, I can't go back. I mean, once I know something, I can't unknow it, and I'm not going to turn around and turn my back from it.
You can't unexperience something.
Yes, right.
You can't.
And I think as a collective, that's happening. People can't unexperience this.
Yeah, the collective through lockdown, and people will Homo sapien. I shouldn't say people, Homo sapien sapien, because that is the condition of this experience. And I'm hearing them becoming aware of how being forced to go in instead of out there all the time, me, better than other. Let's kill them. Let's kill the earth. Let's do what they were forced. They were shut down, literally shut down, to go inward to realize who they are. They can never go back. They're fighting. Some are fighting. They're hesitating, and that's their choice. They've chose to do that. Others choose, I've had enough of that shit. I'm just going to experience this. And when you go through that, you then see what consciousness, the role of consciousness, what it's actually doing. And you can start to then really enjoy the connection with the role play of the other conscious beings that you call ET or aliens or whoever you want to call them. That is what's going now.
Yeah, it's. I think we're living in a really, really important time in our lives, and we're coming to. I mean, I felt something for a while that it's coming to a head, and with all the other things that are going on surrounding it, like mainstream disclosure, we'll just say, which is not really disclosure. I think it's kind of more just a psychological warfare campaign in a way to get people to look at it differently, look at it the wrong way.
Chris. It's consciousness trying to keep the illusion going. There is no such thing as disclosure. We are disclosure, if you want to call it. Right. The experiences are all connecting globally. They have been for the past year. And the experiences, even the psychic mediums that have been connecting for a very long time, this is just another illusion trying to pull you back, trying to get you, trying to control. And it's as consciousness awakens to itself, know thyself. It is meant to be in the plan that the control tries again and tries again until when you awaken to your true self, there is no fear.
Do you think that's what the controllers are trying to do now, is just put the wrong idea in our minds about the UFOs?
Yes, absolutely. That was not disclosure. That was a load of bollocks. I do apologize for my English language.
Of course not.
And everyone knows, as I said, I'm a mature woman. I'm 62 years old. And when I reached out to ufology, it was a no-go zone because it was all nuts and bolts. There was no consciousness in it. I'm afraid that's all gone now. It's consciousness now. If you see a craft, then, enjoy. They're allowing you to see them. But even that's changed. It's even how you receive the experiences of the actual physical now and again, but it's not like it used to be. Okay? It's when I was on a craft, don't ask me how I go on it, but I was on it. The craft was organic. And now I didn't understand, but now I'm realizing it was consciousness in that form. That's consciousness blinking in and out. In quantum physics 101, vibrating at a frequency. My table, the screen, my body, we're all at different frequencies. Everything you perceive is at a frequency. When you have an awareness of that, whatever way you come through, Quantum physicists have an intellectual awareness of it. Experiences have an intellectual and experiential. Because, for example, Chris, how the hell do you go through a wall? You go through the wall, and billions of us have experienced going through walls. So it's not a delusion. So everything will shift with that. And at the moment, everything's shifting. We're having multiple mandala effects, multiple synchronicities going on. In my experiences group, I have those that have never experienced before attracted to come in and starting to experience or recalling experiences with connection to Mother Nature, with everything you can think of. There's a massive reality shift. So what has to happen for the play, for the role, for the game, is the control has to come in. And that's all it is. Yeah, sometimes I'm a bit anxious. I heard today what's happening in New Zealand, because I don't have a TV, I don't watch the news, but someone sent me what they're doing to force them to do things out there. And for a second, God, that's fucking awful. You wouldn't treat an animal like that. But then I come back and say, okay, what can I do? Okay, and even I still get it, which I will do because I'm still here. I'm not actually dead. Well, I don't think I'm dead, unless, we both died and we're on the other side having a conversation. But this is what I'm saying. So I suppose what I'm trying to say from this juxtaposition is it's extremely hard to have a dual perception. However, I would advise anybody to get any understanding of what's going on, and you make the statement, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Deconstruct that, rip it apart, do the work. And from then, more and more consciousness awakens to its true self. Gloria doesn't wake up. Gloria actually, here we go, crazy. Gloria is a mass consciousness wears. And I always say that in the mediums. Mediums we talk to, they're dead. So, for example, if I had your grandmother here, your grandmother was Homo sapiens sapien, and then she died. Well, then I've got your grandmother here who can tell me everything about you. She's now in energy. She's still the individual singularity consciousness that she come in and chose to experience. I choose to experience being Chris's grandma, and now I pass from that. I'm now experiencing this. I even heard recently a medium told me that their relative come through and said, I'm going to go off and experience being a Palladian. And I went, you what? Even that through me. If your consciousness, which is a creator God, like big, if you want to say big God, little gods, we are consciousness and we can create whatever we choose. Choose the reality you wish to create. Choose the experience you wish to experience. I consciousness at all times, in all places. Hence why we can now experience multiple timelines at the same time. I've heard many experiences talk of this. Quantum physicists gives you the intellectual, academic understanding of this experience, but the experiencers have experienced it. The hardest part of everything I talk about is finding words or context to get this stuff out. It is simple, but I know when I was told many years ago, it's so simple, Gloria, I actually said, fuck off, over the bridge, leave me alone. It's not simple. And I'm like, the demons. And it's hindsight's a bitch. And now I say, actually, and I say it with the utmost humility, because everyone will get there. Every Homo sapiens sapiens getting there. Even the nasty, negative Nellies are going to get there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to look forward to, definitely. And you can think about it as each of our consciousness is a form of energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It's perpetual. So
Yes.
it'll keep going and going, and each of these
Yes.
individual, I guess, areas of consciousness that the greater consciousness wanted to explore will live on
Yeah.
in eternity.
Yeah. It's very hard when you're a Homo sapiens sapien mind. It's very hard because to really, it's cognitive distance kicks in. It's like the mind can't do it. The only way to do it is with the I am. There's no other way. You go in, or you are fortunate enough that you chose to experience what we call an ET experience, because boom, does your consciousness open, because you realize you're not a limited being. If you can experience this, and then you meet others and others and others and similar experiences. I mean, I'm still blown away, Chris, how when I talk to someone, I've got like a bullshit detector, and I know if they're an experiencer. And every experiencer I speak to say, I've got that bullshit detector too. It's like, ooh, that's fun.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
It's consciousness. For God's sake, Chris, you know who you are. You're just going peekaboo and playing you don't know. And that's every Homo sapien. I'm not making light of this with what's going on, but what is hidden will be revealed. And consciousness is so joyous, it's doing in certain ways. Like, you can look at what we call this control at the moment, and when you shift your consciousness even tiny bit, you start to have a laugh like this. I'll give you an example. We had a statement made by a senior person in this country a year ago, and this was it. We're in a very troublesome time, blah, blah, blah. Right. If you've got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you cannot go to their homes and have sex. It's illegal. You will be arrested and kill everybody by spreading germs. However, if you want to have sex, you can go outside. Hold on. I sat there going, if you have sex outside in the UK, it's called Gross Indecency Act. You can't do that. But hold on, forget that bit. So I can't go to the house, but I can go and link up with them outside. It's ones like that. You start to see illogical laws. Now, before that, before humanity started to awaken, it's not because they were stupid or idiots, whatever. It wasn't time for them. They believed the laws. They followed the culture. It was what Homo sapiens sapien was supposed to do, to experience being fucking human. The whole point of it. And they weren't meant to see it. So they're not bad. They're not no good. Yeah. But they never noticed what someone was telling them to do, because it is so true. We have free will as a Homo sapiens sapien. You go to consciousness, you don't need fucking free will. You're consciousness, you're it. So forget that one. So go back to, we have free will. And the only way you can control, consciousness will not allow anyone to surpass your freedom of free will. Nothing, no one, E.T., Chris, or my co-host Chris Shearer, no one can infringe it, no one. But how it works, we never saw it before. They would get us to agree to give it up. Yeah?
Yes.
Now, we can all see that now. We're freely giving it up. You know? I'm not going to get into what I'm talking about. And I don't need to open that because I'm not interested in it.
Right.
So even if you start to look back at consciousness and the evolution of consciousness, it shows you where we are today. The time is now. If someone tells you in 24 years' time, in 2030, no, it's now. It's happened now. We're in it now. Because there is no time-space continuum. All collapses into the now. We're just experiencing all things at all times. So you need to come out of the linear. The Homo sapiens sapien consciousness, which is still the same as consciousness, experiences linear time, and they go, oh, I think it's going to be like 5 years, we'll be free. Oh, this is going to go. No, you need to come out of that. If you start to come out, and quantum physics 101 will verify this, if you come out of the time-space continuum and it collapses into one, there is no time. You're free. You've got through what we don't talk about. You're through it. It's gone. Call it a new earth, call it a reality shift, call it whatever you choose to call it. Labels don't matter. It's shifted because we've chosen the shift. We choose. That's all that's happened. So the law of attraction, what you put out, you come back. Because we're consciousness experiencing the human experience of Homo sapiens sapien, the laws of the Homo sapiens sapien is what you put out, you get back. When you're consciously aware of who you are, you're not better than anyone else, and how this is the play of Layla, it's non-duality. You put out there, Chris, you can do anything. You can, and it you don't even have to think it, do it, it appears. It happens, you know. And in the beginning, it's a bit like, oh, that's spooky. Oh. But in the end, it just becomes a natural beingness. So take the timelines out, everybody. But those that wish to go down that road, they've chosen to. I don't judge anyone. I don't judge you if you're a vaxxer, non-vaxxer, believer, non-believer. You're just having your experience, what you want to experience. I'm having my experience. I've chosen to come on your show. I have no idea how it's going to turn out. I thought, what the fuck? It's a new experience. Let's do it.
Right.
You've chosen, bigger for you. My co-host Cory Hughes said, God help America. I'm on the show. You chose to have me on the show. You chose. Everything we do is choice. We cannot blame another. It's not the blame game. Choose.
Yes.
And that answered your question, or
I
could expand upon that.
That was perfect. And the audience that chose to listen to this, they got to kind of push their brains back in and maybe listen to this again to get a better understanding, because that was fantastic. Okay. It really was. Gloria, thank you so much for coming and sharing this with us. I really enjoyed it. Well, before you leave us today, I want you to tell us a little bit about your show, Open Minds.
We have the Open Minds, season 1's finished. Season 2 starts on the 29th of August. It's called the Chris and Gloria's Live Chat Show. That came about due to I had the visitation from the Blues, the Scorn Blues, and the etchings come in, and all of a sudden I woke up one day and said, Chris, do you want to do a live chat show? Never done it before in my life, no idea. We've just done season 1, 25 interviews, absolute success. It starts on 29th of November. No, it's not. It's August, 29th of August. It's on Facebook. I'm sure you, darling Chris, will put the links in there.
I will.
You have the link for yourself to come on my show. I will be gentle with you because you were so gentle with me today. I won't.
I tried.
No, you were very good. I'm a newbie at this. I'm used to interviewing, not being interviewed. It's on Facebook. There's 25 shows there. Go through them. If they interest you, resonate, watch. If not, don't. There's some amazing people being on the show. There's so many different topics to talk about. The whole show is about individuals coming on and sharing their experiences to show that they're not alone. And the most recent set was all experiences of what we call ET contact, bringing us all together. It's just a show.
That's wonderful. And you have beautiful artwork that you do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Behind you, yeah, that's really great stuff.
That's one of them. Thank you so much, Chris. Again, as you can see, I went from painting normal stuff to sacred geometry art, had an exhibition. And then I've spent the last couple of years grays in Egypt. I paint all these hieroglyphs, and they're real. I have no idea what they mean. It comes in, I put it down, and now it's shifting again to more, let's say, elemental or avatar keeps coming in my mind. New worlds, new experiences. I suppose you could call it channeled. It's channeled art. That's what it is. But thank you. Yeah, I love my art. I do love my art.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd love to take a look at some more of your art soon as well. And Gloria, thank you so much again for coming on. We're going to be talking soon about our secret project that we can't tell anybody about.
Oh, we got a secret project. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. That's if we can sync everyone around the world in one place.
Yes, that's the hardest part is syncing everyone together, but I think we'll make it work.
Can we blame Ryder?
We can definitely blame Ryder, yes.
Shout out Ryder Lee, will you get your act together, please? And sync in with me, Chris, and Robert, and the others, and Yoffie. So,
we'll slap him around. We'll get him on board.
We'll get him on board. We can't do it without Ryder Lee. There's no way.
That's right.
He's got to be with us.
Yeah, definitely. And Gloria, thank you again. We'll have you back on in the future because I want to go even deeper and I want to make people's heads explode next time.
Come back. And if you want to go deeper, we have to pick it up from here to the next stage.
Otherwise, we definitely do so. Oh, yeah. All right, Gloria, well, have a great rest of your night. I know it's late over there, so get some rest, and we'll talk to you again soon. And until next time.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you. Till next time, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Have an excellent evening. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Bye, thank you.